Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening to all, and thank you so much for being here. And
Hello,
felicitations. Thank you so
Hello,
much,
everyone.
Aline. It's great to see you.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome to
Hello.
our executive director, Aline Francois.
Hello, hello.
Hello. Hello, Leon.
Hi, everybody. Michelle Karshan here.
We're just going to give a minute or two for people to settle in, and we'll get the ball rolling.
Welcome, Tessa.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone.
Bonsoir, Tessa.
Good evening, Tessa.
Welcome, Rainy.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening. Good evening. Good evening, everybody.
Hello.
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 Okay, we're putting our agenda in the chat, and we will be starting right away. If people would like to also introduce themselves in the chat, you just want to put your name and organization and location, just because we do want to have a very successful follow-up, and so it's very important for us to really connect people in this very valiant effort that we believe will be truly a coming together of different groups, different walks of life, different organizations, and different geographies. So thank you so much. Okay. And so just as a reminder, in the agenda, we have welcome and purpose of the call, current status of TPS for Haiti, legal overview that we're very happy to have Ira Kurzban leading the way, and also just kind of a lay of the land of community organizers in different parts of the country, different constituencies, what they're doing, and then Q&A and next steps. So just give me one.
You muted yourself, sir.
Okay, so once again, we are gathered here today with a very important purpose, which is really to respond and to figure out the best way to respond to a dire crisis that our communities across the United States now are facing. And of course, Mr. Kurzban will address the specifics of where we are and something about how we got here and maybe the risks, the stakes. But what we all agree here is that we are in a major, major, major crisis. And we want to, first of all, thank everyone for coming. We know that collectively, the people on this call are very, very, very powerful. And this is a critical power building step that we're taking today. And so we basically laid out the agenda of what we want to accomplish tonight. And I think that we could talk about basic community agreements, which we can say very, very, very quickly. Respectful use of the chat. If you have a question, put it in the chat. Do not interrupt people who are speaking. We will have a chance to hear, from people in different parts of the United States about some things that they have seen happening or would like to happen in terms of the capacity. So we also have the question of language. So what we will be doing in this, we realize this is likely a bilingual space, and so we will have sometimes we will break just to add some content in Creole, parce que nous connaissons espace bilingue. So, malgré nous avons plusieurs instances qui vraiment fait partage en anglais, mais nous connaissons que son espace côté, gen moun c'est Creole yo parler. So, n'a toujours fait quelques segue pour nous rapidement faire une petite synthèse en Creole, parce que nous connaissons moment difficile, moment extrêmement critique. Nous avons une situation côté, vraiment, faut que nous agissions et faut que nous défendons et membres communauté nous. So, ça c'est idée, agenda, c'est que nous attendons M. Kurzban qui pourra bailler une réflexion sur qui ça a passé légalement avec Haïtien qui sous TPS. Après ça, on a réfléchi possibilité pour nous réagir. So, again, we want to thank, nous avons dit tout le monde merci pour participation nous là. And we would like to pass the floor to Ira Kurzban. And thank you so much for being here today. It is truly a pleasure.
Well, thank you, Paul. And I see many of my friends here have been involved in this struggle for a long time. And I want to thank you all for being here. I was asked just to give some background on where we are in the litigation. And where we are is, as you know, when Trump was running for president, he made some very serious misstatements and slurs against the Haitian community in Springfield, Ohio. And this, continued through the campaign and has continued since Trump was elected in the last year. It's clear to me that their goal is to delegitimize and take away lawful status to virtually everybody who has temporary protected status. And in fact, that's exactly what they've done. Every single time that a expiration of a temporary protected status has come up, whether it was Sudan or Venezuela or others, they have now terminated them. So the government clearly is going to terminate all temporary protected status and then try and scoop up all those people so they can raise their numbers of the people they're deporting, because obviously people who have TPS are more easily identifiable and easy to pick up and, detain and then deport. They started with Haiti, as you know, by cutting Haitian TPS in half. Haitian TPS, as you know, was originally scheduled for expiration on February 3rd. this month, this year. And one of the first things that Noam did when she came into office was to cut it in half to August of 2025. We sued on that in the Eastern District of New York. We were successful in moving the date back to February 3rd. Virtually the same day that the judge did that, they issued the official termination for February 3rd, 2026. We then sued them in the district court in the District of Columbia. And that's a case that's really pending right now. The judge in the District of Columbia on February 2nd issued an order staying the termination date. Without getting too complicated about the legal issues, because of certain things the Supreme Court has done, it's very difficult to issue injunctions now. So many of the work that's being done in this field has to do with just terminating, not in effect, setting aside the termination dates under the Administrative Procedures Act, which is exactly what the judge did. But it's clear, and she did it on two grounds. One was that it was clear that she was supposed to consider, and that this was all prejudged, obviously. For all of us who have been working in this field, we knew that's no surprise. And the judge also said that there was evidence in the record that they had done this for a racially motivated purpose. No surprise there either with respect to Trump, who's made a career of going after Haitians way before, he ran for president. So the government, to show you how serious they are about fighting this, filed a stay in the district court, appealed the case to the Court of Appeals, and filed a stay in the Court of Appeals. If you non-lawyers here, and for lawyers, you may know that that's pretty unusual. I mean, typically what they would do is they'd file a stay in the district court of the judge's decision, ask her to reconsider it. If she didn't, then they'd appeal that to the Court of Appeals, file a stay in the Court of Appeals. But they're in such a rush to get to the United States Supreme Court that they filed stays in both courts and seeking expedited determination of those stays. I don't think the district court judge is going to grant a stay after what she wrote in 82 pages. I don't know what's going to happen in the Court of Appeals, although, we have a pretty good panel and I think we have very good arguments. But even assuming we were to win, that would probably be decided toward the end of this month because it's on a very, very fast track. I mean, everybody's got to submit all the briefs and everything by the 19th of February. So the Court of Appeals can decide the case anytime after February 19th. And even if we were to win, it's clear that the government's going to go up to the Supreme Court on this and seek a stay. And why is that important? Obviously, if they get a stay in any one of these courts, they can start deporting people right away. And I believe that's exactly what they intend to do. And my concern is particularly in places like Springfield, Ohio, but also in Miami and in South Florida, we may see something very similar to what we've seen in Minnesota, where they bring in thousands of people to go into Haitian neighborhoods in South Florida and start picking up people and trying to deport them, or at least incarcerate them and take them to Texas and Louisiana, which basically has been their modus operandi in these kinds of cases. So, I was asked to give you the background and just give you, my very brief thoughts about it. As Paul and many of the other people on this call know, I've been a very strong proponent of getting out on the street. And I think my view has been confirmed by what's happened in Minneapolis. And if it wasn't for those brave people out on the street photographing everything, and in Chicago and in Los Angeles, photographing everything and videoing all these atrocities that are going on by, Trump stormtroopers, I think things would be even much worse than they are now. I also think, based on the history of what's happened, in these kinds of cases here, and I know it's a different time, but I feel very strongly that we have to have a strategy. In order to have that strategy, you have to have the resources, you have to have the organization, but a strategy to get people out on the street. Remember, we're talking about 350,000 people, and we're probably talking about 500,000 or more because they have family members who are American citizens. I know everyone's afraid. I know that that's been a stumbling block here, but hopefully this meeting will be the first step in trying to do something. At the same time, I've been trying to organize immigration lawyers to do the same thing, which is to get out on the street. There's 18,000 members of the American Immigration Lawyers Association. We've started to have discussions about how we can help, either by providing support for demonstrations that go on in different places in the country. So that's where we're at, and I'll stop now. I'm sure a lot of people have a lot to say about it. Thank you.
And we also wanted to just bring into the question, of course, the just 1 or 2 minutes about the discharge petition. I don't know if Tessa or Steve, if you just want to say something very quickly about that.
Tessa, do you want to go ahead? I'll be very quick and then give it to you. Representative Ayanna Pressley has introduced a bill in Congress called a discharge petition to extend Haiti's TPS designation. This is a bill that requires a majority or 218 members of the House of Representatives to pass the House, which would mean every Democrat plus 4 Republicans. As of a few days ago, February 4th, 128 members of the House, including 1 Republican, Representative Salazar of South Florida, had signed the discharge petition. IJDH and other groups are leading call-in efforts to call every Democratic member of Congress and many of the more moderate or perhaps amenable Republicans to see whether they will join, and anyone desiring to participate in those efforts could contact Tessa or myself or IJDH. As I say, they're a group of volunteers making regular phone calls and sending emails to legislative directors and aides of the representatives to try to get this more Republicans on board. That's very important, as well as every Democrat. Thank you.
And we just want to thank all of the organizations and coalitions and different groupings, whether it's, FLIC, Auchan, FAM, Tessa Petit, Rick Swartz, Steve Forster, Brian Kincannon, IGDH. They've all been a critical part, both of the call-ins as well as the tool. The tool with the QR code to reach out to members of Congress. So we have made it a long ways, but we obviously need to go further because we need 218, and which means, as Steve mentioned, every Democrat plus 4 Republicans, or if not all Democrats sign on, we need a larger number of Republicans. Okay, and again, I'll give a 1-minute summary in Creole of Ira and Steve's remarks. Donc, Ira Kurzban fait rappeler que nous voyons un racisme vraiment terrible qui existait depuis même avant l'élection dans Springfield, Ohio 2024 avec propos Donald Trump, Elon Musk et J.D. Vance. Et puis nous voyons également situation côté et administration gagne une stratégie pour lui et camper TPS pour toutes 17 nations et vraiment créer une possibilité côté en pile plus passion 1 million de monde perdre statut pour venir et déportable. Et nous songez vraiment nous de Haïti avec une vengeance côté où c'est couper 5 mois sous désignation TPS et côté où c'est réajouter date là pour septembre 2025 au lieu de 3 février 2026 et nous ouais et nous sommes vraiment contents d'accueillir et décision juge Reyes qui était faite dans le tribunal Washington DC 2 février qui était mettons en pause dans date et terminaison et TPS Haïti sous deux critères. Premier critère, vraiment, c'était critère de porter TPS là que yo pas suivre et processus façon pour terminer, mais également côté des grandes motivations raciales dans ça que tu as fait. Donc, il y a un pile incertitude qu'on y a parce que il y a ça qui est un brief dans le terme légal qui l'administration obligée de soumettre d'ici 19 février dans le cours d'appel. Et là, ça est capable de décider après 19 février qui sera passé. Mais quelle que soit la décision cour d'appel fait, c'est sûr que ça pourrait aller dans le cour suprême. Là. Donc, là, si on pose, dans pause jugeresse, ça c'est si on renverse pause jugeresse, mettez le ça, malheureusement, il est capable de passer à déportation et tout haïtien qui est sous TPS. Donc, et c'est ça qui a été déjà créé, vraiment, articulé intention pour faire ça depuis Springfield, Ohio. Et donc, nous sommes capables de voir une situation similaire à travers les États-Unis. Donc, ça, nous sommes capables de dire, et côté nous, ouais, exemple, Minnesota, côté, il y a pile de monde qui est mobilisé dans différents quartiers, vraiment, pour nous, pour la rue, eh bien, et Aira a expliqué possibilité, vraiment, pour nous, une stratégie comme ça, dans le cadre et communauté haïtienne par rapport à haïtiens qui gagnent TPS. Donc, vraiment stratégie ça exige ressources exige organisation vraiment pour que monde prend la ria et nous réfléchir quantité haïtien même si nous pas seulement considérer 350 000 haïtiens qui déjà gagnent TPS ou bien plus même qui étaient éligibles pour TPS mais si nous considérer famille ou petite en petit fait aux États-Unis mais là on a parlé environ de plus passer 1 million de monde et gagnent là-dedans qui et citoyens américains. Et a également parlé de alliés qui étaient capables d'entrer dans la bataille, ça, y compris 18 000 membres et American Immigration Lawyers Association est là. Donc après ça, Steve Forster a expliqué et démarche une pétition de décharge et vraiment et par rapport à la désignation Haïti pour TPS qui exigeait 218 membres dans le Congrès pour passer et côté yo joignent et vraiment et ils exigé tout démocrate plus 4 républicains. Ou bien si vous pas gagné tout démocrate là, si vous pas gagné 213 à 214 démocrates, il y a besoin de plus républicains pour faire arriver 218. Jusqu'à présent, d'ici 4 février, il y a 128 membres congrès qui désignent une pétition de décharge, 127 démocrates plus un républicain, et il y a l'autre qui déclare intention pour signer. Il y a pile différents groupes qui étaient là, Institute for Justice and Democracy in Haiti, FLIC, au champ, en pile groupe, t'es vraiment, et femmes, bien sûr, nous fait un pile appel, nous fait un pile lettre. Donc, pour et démocrates et républicains, si vous êtes capable de signer une pétition de décharge. Okay, so thank you again, Steve and Ira, for the updates. And what we would like to do is to, at this point, look at the question of what's going on in terms of such a strategy and how are different parts of the United States really weighing in, because we have well-established Haitian communities in New York, in Boston, in different parts of the country. And so we would like to hear a little bit about what's going on in terms of the Haitian communities, in terms of what they have been able to muster, many of whom have a long tradition of organizing back from the 1980s with the Haitian Refugee Center in Miami, in New York, blocking the Brooklyn Bridge. And so we would like to pivot to New York, and we would like to hear from a member of the New York community, Jocelyn Makala, if you'd like to say a few words, as well as if there are others from New York who would briefly like to say, what, first of all, the current moment, what is underway, and how do you see us moving forward in terms of moving in the direction of what Ira was talking about? Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman, for the opportunity that you gave me to say something. Let me put a little bit more light to my face here, if I can. All right. Well, last week in New York, and following the decision by Judge Reyes with respect to the stay, several Haitian community organizations, along with a number of New York City officials, held a press briefing in which they indicated they're continuing that they would be continuing to fight for Haitians with TPS and so forth. What does that mean in practical terms? In practical terms, I mean, to some extent, I mean, you've got the mayor of New York City who has very strongly issued a number of statements regarding the non-cooperation with ICE on city-owned premises and so forth. So that's one of the issues that you have to deal with. In practical terms, you've got a number of New York organizations, immigrant organizations that have demonstrated, rallied, and vowed to protest ICE action in solidarity with Minnesota. So to the extent of what has happened in Minnesota is obviously inspiring for a number of people. But with respect to the Haitian American community or to the Haitian community per se, but to some extent what is lacking is the kind of traction that you can get when people are trained and organized. To some extent, part of what we don't have here is the kind of structure that sprang out of Minneapolis when people were trained to identify when ICE was in the neighborhood, to alert people to the ICE presence in the neighborhood, and to be able to some extent, prevent their acting in a way that provided them cover for their illegal action. And illegal action obviously concerns not just people with TPS, but people with who are relatives of the TPS folks and American citizens, as well, as we've seen in Minnesota. So I have no doubt that there are a number of people who have legitimate reasons for being in the United States, legal reasons for being in the United States, who are going to be targeted, who are going to be victims of the rogue tactics and brutal tactics that ICE has used in other places. And that is, in fact, the aim of ICE, to terrorize people as much as possible. Obviously, TPS folks are much more vulnerable, as Ira has explained, because the TPS folks are known entities, and to a certain extent, DHS has everybody's addresses in a stash somewhere, and they can go and knock on doors. But people are not necessarily trained to respond and protect their rights under the Constitution of the United States. So that's I'll stop there, and then obviously, as we proceed, I can chime in a little bit more. Paul, I'm coming back to you.
Yes. Sorry about that. So, thank you so much, Mr. Makala. And now we want to turn to, we have Reverend Fleury-Saint from Boston, who would like to speak to the situation in Boston right now. Reverend Fleury-Saint, are you on the call? Okay, we might have some difficulty him connecting. Okay. All right, we want to quickly turn to Miami. Okay. And we have Reverend Eugène of
Yes,
HEBC.
I'm so sorry.
Okay, Reverend Fleurissin, please. Reverend Fleurissin de Boston. Thank you.
I am on the call, but I'm having trouble turning on my video as well as my mic. But fortunately, my mic works. So thank you so much, Paul, and thank you all of you for joining us in this critical moment as we fight definitely to protect compatriots. Want to thank Steve Forrester for his staunch advocacy, and I see Michael Trevino. Thank you for all the help you brought to us for the past 2 months, just to understand what can we do. So we hosted, as you know, back in January, the congressional hearing at a church in Boston with Diana Presley. Just I think Steve spoke about it. But we convene as well faith leaders in churches, hosting hearing with the different church leaders, such as the Massachusetts Network Action Committee, MCAN, that join forces with Greater Boston Interfaith Organization, as well as the Massachusetts Council of Churches that would stand with the Haitians. I had a meeting last week with the clergy from Greater Boston Interfaith Organization that is waiting to see how they can help in that aspect. But I'm glad to hear from our attorney, Ira Kurzban, who said that mobilization is very important right now. It's for me just to go back to them and tell them what strategy will be put in place to continue on. Also in touch with 1199 SEIO, because last week the mayor of Boston just passed a resolution to making sure that Haitians are being protected as some public places, and many union leaders were there. And I think TPS was mentioned as well, and they're getting ready to join forces with us in order to see whatever they can do to protect the Haitians TPS. As you know, in Massachusetts, we have close to 45 to 50,000 Haitians who are TPS recipients. And then, as you know, the governor is always stayed with us, passed a resolution as well to protect Haitians. And she sent a letter requesting an extension of TPS from the Secretary of Homeland Security, Christine. They are ready to stand with us, and we are definitely combining our efforts, all the other Haitian allies, friends of Haitians together, join forces to stand to see what else we can do. So Paul, we are ready, and we are waiting just basically for your command. How definitely should we start, and we know the how, but we just want to wait to see when, and all the as well advices you have for us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And nap rapidement bayon bref traduction nous fait sorte tande deux témoignages, un témoignage de Jocelyn Macala dans New York et un témoignage de révérend Kiki Fleurissin dans Boston. Et il a parlé de différentes organisations et différents élus qui vraiment prend maille là, qui prend leadership et dans question et protection et pour communauté haïtienne dans zone côté yo censé diriger. Et monsieur Macala parlait de magistrat Zorn Mamdani, magistrat de la ville de New York, et révérend Fleurissin parlait de gouverneur Massachusetts et résolution que le passé, et ainsi que membre congrès et Diana Presley qui représentait Boston. Mais ça nous connaît, c'est que c'est une stratégie sous plusieurs branches, parce que nous connaissons une stratégie légale, une stratégie législative et une stratégie ça nous carré terrain. Et ça extrêmement important, et pour nous connaître comment nous capables de connaître différentes stratégies ça. Nous vraiment contents journée jodia que nous accueille Ira Kurzban qui c'est lead attorney. OK, lead attorney sous lawsuit là. Et c'est Ira Kurzban avec KKTV avec avocat Pipoli dans Chicago qui est censé mener et démarche ça. Donc, nous connaissons que il y a différents côtés aux États-Unis qui ont vraiment mobilisé, et Johnny McCarthy parlait également de situation à fait dans Minnesota, stratégie que vous mettez en place. Donc, c'est réflexion ça pour nous faire beaucoup de panneaux. And we want to listen. Steve Forrester has something to add as well. Steve? Steve, are you ready? Okay, we'll have to circle back to Steve. Okay, so what we would like to do is we would like to very quickly here before we circle to Miami, and we have a few people who will speak about some of the efforts in Miami, but we want very quickly to hear other parts of the country. We understand that there's someone from Atlanta also who would like to speak about efforts in Atlanta. Is the Atlanta community on the call?
Did you ask for Atlanta community?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Laurent.
Good well, good evening. Hi, my name is Maggie Jean.
Hello? Maggie or Jacques, if you could share with us in a minute and a half or two, how the mobilization is happening in Atlanta. What is the response of the Haitian community in Atlanta strategically, given the circumstances and the stakes at play and the need to protect our communities?
So the way it works in Atlanta is that we're a little spread out. If you've ever been to Atlanta, we're very spread out. So that makes it a little difficult for any particular approach or attack. If you compare to New York or certain areas in Florida, for example, where there's a mass of Haitians, and some of the areas are somewhat well protected. Like in my county, in Gwinnett County, the police is very pro-immigrant, a very diverse community, one of the most diverse community in the country. So we tend to have a little more stronger protection. Having said that, there's been sightings and reportings of ICE taking activities, but not in large like what you see in the news. It doesn't happen that much, and there's been some pushback because they were trying to establish in two towns in Georgia, one social circle, and the other one was another town where they wanted to establish ICE centers. And there's been pushback because the cities are like, oh no, you're going to take too much of our resources. So that's been a good thing for us from that standpoint. As far as the mobilization, we have some very solid attorneys that are working hard. The Haitian American Lawyers Association, they've been working extremely hard to support the community and to fight. If you know Attorney Lana Joseph, she's one of them. She's one of the most vocal person. We've had different activities, and then we also have the organization Caribbean Georgia Votes, where we've had different community meetings to discuss what's going on. So that's just a little short version of the mobilization, is the education and working with the community so that we can make sure that those that are impacted can be helped with that.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Laurent. And we want to go back to Johnny.
Excuse me. I just wanted to, I think that we're going to hear from a lot of people around the country and just about anywhere where the Haitian American community or the Haitian immigrants have settled and so forth. But let's be very clear. that the Trump administration has repeatedly said that the next staging of ICE activities is going to take place in Springfield, Ohio. And there's a reason for this, because to some extent, Springfield, Ohio, is far more manageable than New York City. It's also far more manageable than Miami or North Miami. And so in a way, they see this is Springfield, Ohio as sort of an easy win. And to a certain extent, they may be right, to the extent that we don't have a strategy to come to the assistance of the Haitians in Ohio, and that strategy being a strategy that incorporates both mobilization by the Haitians themselves, as well as the greater Springfield, Ohio community, as well as the governor, even the governor of the city of Ohio, who has expressed opposition, to Trump's fascist efforts, to get rid of Black and brown people in the state. So my sense here is that, to some extent, we should make very good use of the time that we have together to say, how can we come to the assistance, to the help of the folks in Ohio, and make that a big deal that will reflect upon the other communities that we're dealing with. I mean, the Haitians in New York and New Jersey and Boston, in Philadelphia, in Miami, in Florida, and all along the eastern seaboard, as well as the Midwest, because you got Ohio, you got Indiana, and so forth. So that's what I wanted to say, so that we can, sort of make good use of our time.
Okay, we're gonna pivot to two faith leaders next. One of based in Miami, one of whom was recently in the Midwest. But earlier in the call, we did ask if we did have leaders who are currently in the Midwest who could weigh in on that. I'll just take 30 seconds for a quick Creole summary, and then we can go to some of our faith leaders very quickly, and then really move toward speaking quickly about a specific strategy. So, nous avons M. Jacques Laurent qui est Atlanta, qui t'a parlé de approche, surtout dans Gwinnett County, qui vraiment gagne plusieurs instances qui en faveur immigrants, qui Gwinnett County qui est extrêmement diverse, côté yo ouais activité ICE, et que mais gagne une sorte de pushback, une sorte d'effort, même j'ai été fait dans Minneapolis, ou effort pour contrecarrer effort non seulement et dans la communauté, mais également légalement. Il te parle de Haitian American Lawyers Association, vraiment pour supporter l'activité et pour supporter, défendre le monde qui dans la situation et immigration. Et également, il parle de Caribbean Georgia Votes, qui sont organisations qui sont vraiment importantes pour organiser les immigrants. Après ça, M. Makalatere prend parole pour l'expliquer que non seulement pour nous garder sur question grand centre urbain haïtien, mais également côté Springfield, Ohio, côté administration déjà ciblé, spécifiquement côté yo poil ciblé, parce que yo estime li plus facile pour yo attaquer Haïtien dans Springfield que si par exemple yo New York ou bien Miami. Donc là, ça gagne un impératif pour mobiliser dans Springfield, Ohio, côté gagne certains alliés, quand même gouverneur républicain d'Ohio, DeWine, qui dit que li compte effort vraiment pour purger communauté de immigrants, ça qui les Black and Brown immigrants, qui gens nous capables de venir en appui à population Ohio, différentes populations dans le Midwest qui sont censées cibler. Nous t'avons aimé passer à monsieur révérend Kenny Felix qui est basé à Miami, mais qui récemment était présent dans le Midwest. Et révérend Félix, parlez-nous de questions de mobilisation surtout et perspectives pour mobilisation.
Sure. Thank you, Paul, and good evening, family. And again, thank you to Attorney Carson for his work and for all of us who are working collectively. I was in Ohio last Monday where the community gathered in Springfield. This event was sponsored by Faith in Action and G92, which is a local organizing branch of faith leaders who are standing together. And we had about 1,000 people that gathered. The NAACP was present, the mayor, the local mayor was present. The event was so full that people had to leave. But the folks on the ground are receiving training to be able to help our brothers and sisters know how they could, withstand. They're receiving training on how churches can collectively work together, again, to defend and to advocate on behalf of our brothers and sisters. What was beautiful about Ohio last week or Springfield last weekend was that it was a diverse group of people coming together, faith leaders, civic leaders from all backgrounds, saying, no, we want the fair treatment. We want the dignity of our brothers and sisters to be embraced. And we definitely do not want Springfield to be ground zero for the administration's effort. Do they need our support? Absolutely. Absolutely. I would encourage you to get in touch with this group called G92. Pastor Carl Ruby is one of the key leaders there on the ground, and as we want to collaborate with them. Encore simplement dire que il était un grand rencontre là-bas à Springfield semaine dernière, côté que plus que 1000 t'es rencontrés sur différents côtés, différentes églises, différents backgrounds, civic leaders, pasteurs, ministers, pour collaborer ensemble pour déterminer qui gens que nous qu'à supporter communauté Springfield, qui est vraiment vulnérable à cause que c'est un small town que lié, mais quand même, nous avons NAACP, qui est organisation nationale pour peuple noir, qui est là, qui a supporté la communauté. Nous avons différents représentants qui sont dans différentes villes, Ohio, différentes églises, pasteurs, leaders qui sont dans différentes communautés, organisations, ça que nous avons Faith in Action. Encore, tout essayer de travailler ensemble pour collaborer avec le groupe local pour porter aide à Springfield, Ohio. So let's definitely continue to strategize, but come alongside them to stand as they are predicted to be ground zero for the next phase of the administration's work.
Thank you so much, Reverend Felix, and thank you also for the quick bilingual, which kind of avoids the need for translation. Pour tout le monde capable vraiment suivre ça cap dit, parce que là, we're talking about the three angles. We're talking about the legal angle, the legislative angle, and of course the mobilization angle. And those are all extremely important. And we know whether it's the Faith Leadership Network that Reverend Felix mentioned, or some of our partners, for example, in the Ocean Network in Springfield, that these are people that will be front and center in that effort to really make sure that we can have a clear strategy. And so we want to segue to two of our spokespeople of efforts here in Miami as well. We know that Reverend Eugene wanted to speak very quickly about some of the efforts in Miami and some of the perspective in terms of mobilizing people in the faith network and the faith community. Reverend Eugene.
Thank you, Mr. Paul. Good evening, everyone, and I'd like to greet Mr. Kreisman and Mr. Forrester for all the work that they've been doing in this community, I would say for the past 4 decades, because I know they started that fight many years ago, and maybe they don't remember that, but I was part of the group that they took to Washington in 1980, May 1980, and they were there in Congress fighting for Haitians. And here we are again in a new chapter of immigration targeting the Haitian population. Well, I represent the Haitian Christian Leaders Coalition, and also I'm the senior pastor for Baptist Church in Miami, which is a member of the Miami Baptist Association Haitian Fellowship Church of Churches. And we are meeting this Wednesday to strategize so that we know exactly what are the actions that will be taken in the next few days to ensure that the churches are mobilized in response to the action that will be taken by the administration. Our pastors are ready to hit the street, and we're simply waiting for the call from Mr. Paul to let us know when we should start taking actions, because we know all our churches are affected at this time. People are living in fear. Half of our congregations, most of our congregations are empty. And this is something that is very serious, and we cannot wait any longer. While the other fellows are doing the actions in the legal arena, as pastors, it is time for us also to mobilize. So I give you the guarantee on behalf of the Haitian pastors, I don't know how many of them are on the call, that we stand ready and in solidarity with you to move ahead and give a quick response to the problem that we are facing at this time.
Thank you so much, Révérend Eugène. Rapidement, Révérend Eugène, qui était un antécédent historique depuis Washington depuis les années 80 avec Congrès, mais nous sommes en bataille encore. Mais il parlait d'une rencontre extrêmement importante dans les prochains jours, mercredi, et différentes, et l'église, dans l'association haïtienne de Baptiste de Miami, et vraiment, et différentes fellowships, l'église a rencontré, et mercredi ça, pour qu'on ait qui action pour prendre dans le jour qui a fini en réponse à l'action que l'administration prend, et pasteur vraiment mobilisé pour yo et prendre béton, pour yo prendre l'arrière, parce que et nous voyons comment toute l'église est affectée et pas mon yo père vient l'église, donc et dans l'église c'est extrêmement vite ces jours-ci, parce que différentes l'église peut prendre la rue à cause de menaces qui gagnent contre communautaire. So we just want to hear, is there a union leader who is on who would like to say something very quickly? I don't know, Harris, if you're on, or if we have a union leader. We've spoken about 1199. We've spoken about SEIU. Do we want someone to say something very quickly? Or in Nelson from 355, Unite here?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, Nelson.
Yeah, hi. I'm just a union member, but, I'm here. I'm very concerned. I'll just briefly say that I was very proud that my union, Local 355, together with SEIU, participated over the last month in the Little Haiti earthquake commemoration that was also a fight turned into a fight and a walk to support Haitian TPS. After that, SEIU organized a union-led contingent in the Martin Luther King parade, which was really led the parade and led a chants in defense of Haitian TPS, which was well received by thousands of people that lined the streets. And after that, the SEIU and our local led an activity at the Fort Lauderdale airport that got a tremendous amount of local coverage on the news and Channel 10, the Spanish news, again, fighting for Haitian TPS. And tomorrow night, I have a meeting. Not tomorrow, I have a union meeting. And I'm going to give a report on this meeting here and the activities that are coming out of this meeting, which I hope, I'm already seeing that, especially from the pastor, that people are ready to hit the streets. I just want to remind people that there's been tremendous victories already. The stay for TPS, the victory of Kilmar Brego Garcia, the immigrant who was deported, but then returned back home because of the fight by unions to get him back home. And we can accomplish a lot more, but it's going to take a lot more work. In the 1980s, we won amnesty and forced the Reagan administration to give amnesty. In the 1990s, we did the same thing with the Bush administration, but it took millions in the streets in peaceful, legal, well-organized demonstrations, just very similar to what happened during the civil rights movement. So what I want to report to my union meeting tomorrow is what kind of mass actions are going to be organized by this coalition so that we in the unions can then report it to our union members and become a part of it. So I think there's a lot we can accomplish, but we have a lot of work to do because Right now, we've started, but we need to put millions in the streets if we're going to really win a permanent solution like amnesty. So that's all I have to say.
Okay, listen, I'm so happy, Nelson, that you were able to share with us. So I think and unfortunately, we're really nearing the end of the call. But I think there's something very important that we need to put on the table. It's first of all a potential date or a potential range in terms of where we want to move with a mass action, which could be a coordinated action across several cities. And we also need, because obviously the operational details of that are not going to happen on this call, but we need to
Mr.
have
Murphy,
maybe a teacher.
I'd like a second to talk about a very big issue that we have. I think it could be everywhere, but in the state of Florida, I have my son that works for the DMV, and a lot of these people that had their paper expired on the 3rd. I would like some legal advice on what kind of action, what can we do, because they're not allowing them to renew their driver's license.
Teacher Carlene, we agree 100% with what you're saying. I think that needs to be the purpose of another call, but that absolutely is on the table. Both the DMV driver's license renewal in Florida, as well as work authorization for people at ports, at airports. But those are important issues. But right now, in the last 5 to 10 minutes, we really need to focus here and now on the question of what we're going to do. Okay. And then we will close with Farah. But what we need to do right now is just make 2 critical decisions, so that really we can say that at this meeting we made 2 decisions. First of all, about the time frame that we're looking at, because we're probably looking at the month of March for a mass action which could happen in different cities. Okay, and we want a general consensus around that. And then the second thing that we want to do is basically agree on 10 to 15 key people in the faith sector, in the union sector, who will agree to move this moving forward in terms of these different meetings that are happening this week and next week, and that we have a coordination mechanism to make sure that everyone is on the same page and that we can really put this to greatest use and have the greatest leverage over the decision makers and get the greatest visibility with the public to really move that. So do I have a motion around the month of March? And does someone want to, suggest a potential date? And then, of course, the smaller committee, we could really hammer out the details. And then we go to Farah.
Paul, can I say something real quick? And it's definitely directed towards this. Hello?
Trish, do you have a suggested date?
Well, I do have it. I say March 28th. Is that okay?
And the reason?
Well, it'll give everybody time enough to really organize around this and make it concise and make it and have it on lockdown. And people can check their schedules, and this will be, I think that this is more than enough time. My other thing is that Reverend William Barber, up there in North Carolina, the Poor People's Campaign, we have thousands of organizations, including unions and, and immigrant organizations, along with other coalition organizations. It could be a huge mass, thousands and thousands and thousands of people, as far as and helping with and repairs of the breach can even possibly help with funding, as far as navigating folks to DC, as far as the Capitol. That's just I think having Reverend William Barber engaged in this with the repairs of the breach with Reverend Liz and the Poor People's Campaign together, like I said, even the indigenous would come to the aid of this and stuff. Like I said, there's an umbrella of organizations across the nation that would, and I know that Reverend William Barber would be down to be a part of this.
Okay, thank you, Trish. So that is one suggestion that's on the table. We've heard other suggestions around dates such as, March 8th, March 17th, obviously for the symbolism of those dates. And it maybe get one more opinion on the month of March, and if there's some specific recommendation on the when and on the how, very quickly. And then we're probably 5 minutes from closure here. So do we have another recommendation?
Well, I kind of second the 28th, because that will give us more time to organize.
Yeah, this is Tamara
Very good.
with Suntla. I agree. I think we're going to need at least
Okay,
a
so
few weeks.
we have 3 yeses on the 28th. Okay, and again, this is something that a smaller group could really get around. But in the meantime, we have getting a stronger and stronger endorsement for that specific
I want
date.
to just say super quickly in the chat, we do see that March 28th is going to be No King's Day, so that would take a lot of attention from this mobilization.
What date? Which March 8th? Okay, March 8th, No King's Day. Got it. Okay.
March 28th.
March 28th.
March 28th is No King's Day.
No King's Day.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you. These are all very important additions. This is not
Also,
obviously
Paul,
something. Yes.
This is Sandy. I also think March 28th will work because it'll be the end of spring break in Miami-Dade County, in Broward County. I believe in some of the major districts in Atlanta and Georgia, that is also their spring break. It's the end of the spring. It's the beginning of the spring break for New York City. So it'll be a good time in terms of people having to get away, move around with their families.
So we've heard some people weighing in on the advantages, some of the drawbacks. Okay, so we want to. This is the final round. We got Farah Larieux, who is a TPS holder. She's one of the TPS holder leaders, and of course, we definitely need the voice of TPS holders and TPS leaders around the conversation. So Farah, if you would like to make some quick remarks, and then we have 1 or 2 people who will be closing out.
Thank you, Paul. Good evening, everyone. First and foremost, on behalf of the 350,000 TPS recipient, I would like to thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule, your life, your passion to support the cause and to stand with us. Thanks to Ara Kazman for the lawsuit. I'm also a communication strategy and a community organizer. My suggestions will be to also think about the narrative, the message out there. Because we know, and many people have said it, Asians are afraid, our community is afraid, and not only TPS recipient, but also those who have a permanent residency or American citizen, they're also afraid. So in order to reach out, I think that for this to bring to think bigger than just the Asian community, we could think about the message. What would be the message? Because the message could be, they start with the most vulnerable one, which is TPS recipient, undocumented one. But they coming later on, they will come after you, because we know this administration is racist. So that means also Black American, African American are also threatened. So why not to see if we can bring allies to this movement, to this day of action, and reach out to NAACP, how they could help us to reach out to a larger audience to bring the African American to this, and also minorities community. Someone mentioned about the native. I think that the message should be, they come with the most vulnerable ones. They will come after you later. So this is a time to bring all the minorities together, and then to increase,
to have a larger audience. Another allies that I think that I don't know if you have done it, but I think we should reach out. I can't congratulate the Pastors Association who are all in this, the Haitian Pastor Association, and I know many of them, they are organizing themselves. But I think that we need to reach out to the Catholic Church, and we need even Pope Leon to make a call, and then to also ask the bishop, the national bishop, U.S. bishop, I should say, to make a call and then for to promote this day of action within the churches, within the Catholic churches, and particularly not only in areas in cities where there are large Haitian population, but where there is non-Haitian population. So I think that having also the Catholic Church a partner in that will increase the numbers of people who will come out on that day of action. That's my suggestion to you, or to us.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Farah. Thank you. You know, this wouldn't be happening without you, and we want to say thank you. We are now in the lightning round. We want to go quickly to Ira Kurzban. The March 28th date. Do you see that date as coinciding on a logical basis with the actual moving forward of what's going on in the legal realm? Is that date optimal, a little too early, a little too late? How would that fit in?
I think it's very difficult to know. You know, as I said, the Court of Appeals may make a decision the third week in February. Even if it's favorable, they're going to go to the Supreme Court. So the court's likely to make some decision 2 weeks after that. So you're really talking about toward the beginning or middle of March. But there's also a concern I saw in the chat here that the No King's Day is March 28th. I don't know if you want to do it the same day or not. And then I take the other point, which is what Jocelyn McCullough said, which is I think they will go to Springfield first. And I just got a message that people have already gotten, bomb threats there. So, I think you got to take all these into consideration. I don't know if you can do an exact date right now. We can't from a legal point of view. But, you may want to have some committee to decide that in the next week or two. But it should be sometime in March, whether it's the middle of March or the end of March. But it seems to me we're going to have a resolution within the next month.
Thank you. We have 3 people who have their hands raised, but one of them has not yet spoken, and we want to go to her first. We are talking about none other than the current chair of the National Haitian American Elected Officials Network and elected city clerk of North Miami, Vanessa Joseph.
And because Randy's on the call, an immigration attorney at Catholic Legal Services. All right. So a lot of things were mentioned. And what I'm understanding is what you want to come out of this particular call is that a committee is formed to talk about this particular action, correct? That would take place ideally maybe in the Springfield, Ohio, or a multi-city action. Is that correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so what we also need to figure out too, and I don't know if this is something that we can do in the chat, Paul, but we've got to figure out who are these. What is the rest of everyone else going to do, which includes messaging. So I'm really happy Farah brought that up, because not just for what she said, but also in terms of how we articulate ourselves when we're talking about this issue, right? And staying away from certain words that we know for a lot of folks stirs up the whole, actually we shouldn't give them anything at all, right? So we have to make sure that we leave here today knowing who that small group is also going to be. I also wanted to mention that, we can't, this is not a movement of convenience. We've just got to move, right? And so Ira made it clear that we don't know. We have a speculative timeline. And so I hope we're not waiting for what is the most convenient time and actually what is just going to be most effective for what it is that we're trying to push. Because once it's announced and then we show up, I don't think that helps anybody. So I would hope that the committee, as you convene to think about this, you're thinking about what actually we can do from a more practical standpoint. The other thing, somebody had mentioned the idea of trainings and mobilizing people. I think we have to also be mindful and cognizant of the fact that there are people that are going to be afraid, because for those of us who've been, who've are the part of the steering the conception of raise, right? There was a lot of work done to train people, but people are afraid to actually, to do accompaniment, are afraid to go out and be in the streets, to be even legal observers. So while we have this platform, Paul, I think that this is a great opportunity. If people are willing to put their bodies out, then we should be sourcing through this group here, right, who has convened. If folks are willing to do legal observation, express that, because this is what we need right now. And there are people who are willing to do the work, but people are also fearful. So we've done trainings, but maybe we need more. Maybe we need folks who've been part of previous trainings in other places to really stir up this group. But we also have to be sensitive to the fact that Florida has different laws than a lot of places. And so people are actually concerned about their livelihoods and things like that. So for the people who are willing to do it, let's make sure that we're activating them here on this call. And then finally, I think we do need to convene something separately, because Ira, I would love to know from you, and of course we could talk about this later, but the potential to have an amicus briefs come out from different folks, making sure we're supporting on any. I know that there's an effort for country conditions research, but I do think that we need to be strategizing on multiple fronts and making sure that in addition to getting the bodies out, the information is also solid and is being communicated in an effective way for the court. So just wanted to put those things out there on the record so that we can also be thinking about those things.
Thank you. We are entering the final phase, and I think we have maybe 2 or 3 minutes on the call. Claudia, Cyril, do you have something very, very brief to share?
I was just wanting to know, are we considering only one day, or would we like to do a week? Because some of the orgs that I've seen, like one thing that they did was a week of resistance. And so they're mobilizing people nonstop, so then people can plug in and plug out whenever they can. A week-long initiative. Would we consider that, or do we just want one day? Well,
okay, sorry, you were not speaking very loudly. Can you just in one sentence, just so that everyone can hear the motion?
I was saying some of the orgs that I've seen, I was part of something that they did a week long of resistance. 1 week of resistance. So would we consider 1 week versus 1 day, just so that, we can have multiple days, multiple events, and people can come, in and out as they please.
Right. Thank you, Claudia. Right now, I think the people we were thinking more along the lines of a 1 day kind of shock event, but I think that these are things that the committee could entertain. Particularly, we are going to need a sustained movement in terms of this not just being do something and then at the end of the day it's over. So in terms of sustaining strategies, we take your comments in that regard, and that's something that the committee needs to be thinking about moving forward. So very quickly, please put in the chat if you would like to be and again, we realize there are many coordination spaces right now in terms of whether it's the IDAP calendar or the OSHA, the different subjects and strategies, but right now we're talking specifically about a mobilization. Okay, and so having this mobilization succeed requires different skill sets. We spoke about the unions, the churches, the necessity for outreach. So I think that please put in the chat your name in terms of what you would like to do, how you can best plug in to the different committees. Again, focusing specifically on this mass action event that we need to see succeeding. And I know that Mr. McCullough's hand has been up for a very long time, and I want to call on him now.
Very quickly, I mean, I basically fully agree with what Vanessa Joseph said with respect to all the elements that she mentioned. I just want to add one more dimension, is that it's extremely important that we expand and or develop the networks that are necessary to make sure that this is a winning campaign. Otherwise, to some extent, if we stay away from other activities, then we're not going to be as successful as we wish to be successful. That's all.
Very good. So what we just did is we put in the chat. Okay.
Hello?
In the chat, we put in, we can talk about the March mobilization. So the groups, we can talk about, outreach. We can talk about communications. And finally, the outreach.
I don't know if you are able to hear me. Hello?
Hello?
Yes. Well, I was not. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Stephanie Ramey. I'm with Sisters of Wisdom and also with Ms. Dina Iscarmet. I'm helping her with the campaign for District 108.
Which campaign?
As well.
No, sir. I think you may
Ms.
have
Dina Iscarmet.
What campaign are you talking about?
No. I have the correct one. So, no. I'm introducing myself, who I am.
Okay, ma'am. People have their hands raised.
I don't know if you hear me.
Yeah.
Yes,
okay,
but
ma'am.
I'm not.
Sorry, ma'am.
I am on the phone.
Yeah, ma'am.
I am on the phone, so I'm not able to see who's have their hands.
Okay, so, ma'am, sorry. We are
I'm
at
in the audio.
Yeah, we're concluding the meeting now. We are at the stage of entering into the chat.
I know.
Yeah, we're concluding the meeting. Okay. People are putting in the chat what committee they would like to be in. That's where we are in the. Thank you.
Paul, you're on mute.
Stephanie, we're sorry about that. If you can hear us, if you're able to reach out to us so that we can hear your input moving forward, because we want this to be a space of inclusion. We're sorry about that. Okay. Okay, so we got outreach, we got mobilization, and we have communications. Okay, and again, okay. All right, so very good, very good. Okay, just to conclude, if you haven't introduced yourself and you want to leave contact information, particularly around if you want to be part of the committees, then please do so in the chat. And again, we want to be very, very, very mindful of people's time and to respect people's time, because this was a 1-hour commitment. And so we will leave the chat open for another 5 minutes or so, okay, to really make sure that we have captured the full chat in terms of plugging people in for future. And just very quickly, the summary of today's meeting, we heard, of course, from the main lawyer in the case to protect Haiti TPS, Ira Kurzban, who really laid out the specifics of where the case is and where things are moving forward. And then we heard from different critical stakeholders in the faith community. We heard from one labor member and also from an elected official and some community organizers in terms of how we want to move forward with the March event around specific dates. And we agreed that this needs to be done in committee. And so we have people signing up for different committees on how they can best plug in. And we want to thank everyone for your time. And we will definitely be reaching out to each one of you who made the sacrifice. Thank you so much. Just a few conclude, given the short time frame on this, is that we want to make sure that everyone is aware that we are proposing the date of February the 23rd, which would also be a Monday at 7 p.m. for the next meeting. And we, in the meantime, would like to see the committees really moving forward on the work that was required. And again, this coordination space is around the question of the March mobilization. We realize that there are many other coordination spaces in this ecosystem that we appreciate and even participate in around other matters. And this is specifically around the March mobilization. So thank you so much, all of you, for your time. And we will be reconnecting in the very, very, very near future. Okay. Thank you again. Okay.
Can you give me a second to get the information from the chat?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
We'll keep the meeting open for the next few minutes, just so that everyone can capture critical information in the chat. Thank you.
Merci.
And thank you, everyone, for respecting protocol on this call.
I have a quick question concerning the names and groups on the chat. Is someone saving those emails? Is someone going to reach out to every one of us?
I can save the emails and give them to
Yes,
Paul.
Farmer has collected those emails and we'll be reaching out to you, updating
Sounds
everybody
good.
from the meeting.
Sounds good.
Great question.
Sorry about that, Paul.
Paul, if you are speaking, you're on mute.
Yeah, I was just saying that we're all set and we have a winning strategy moving forward. So thank you so much. And sorry if we had to be curt at some points of this meeting. We really needed to get to the finish line. And again, we believe in inclusion. Okay. Thank you so much.
Radio-Tele Louvri, là pour clairer tout le monde. Radio-Tele Louvri, là pour clairer tout le monde. Radio-Tele Louvri, là pour clairer tout le monde. Ou ap koute Radio-Tele Louvri. Radio-Tele Louvri là pour clairer tout le monde. Pas gen moun ka prete nan fè noir encore. Vous écoutez Radio-Tele Louvri. C'est ma radio. Votre radio. Radio-Tele Louvri, là pour clairer tout le monde. Ou ap koute Radio-Tele Louvri. Radio-Tele Louvri là pour clairer tout le monde. Pas gen moun ka prete nan fè noir encore. Radio-Tele Louvri là pour clairer tout le monde.